Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're exploring a story you might already know, but we're going beyond the surface.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at the story of Joseph and his brothers.
Right.
From Genesis chapter 37,
Right.
using the New King James Version on Bible Gateway.
Okay.
This isn't just a Sunday school tale.
Yeah.
It's a story packed with family drama, ancient symbolism, and some seriously big questions about human nature.
Yeah, what's so interesting about the story is how these ancient conflicts, still resonate with us today.
Right.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own families and relationships and seeing those same patterns of jealousy, favoritism, and the consequences of unchecked emotions.
Okay, so let's dive into the story.
Okay.
We're introduced to Joseph, a young man just 17 years old, and the apple of his father, Jacob's eye.
Yeah.
Now, Jacob, also known as Israel, had 12 sons.
Right.
But it's clear from the get-go that Joseph held a special place in his heart. And it wasn't just affection. Jacob gifted Joseph this incredibly ornate tunic of many colors.
And that tunic wasn't just about fashion.
Right.
In ancient Canaanite culture, clothing was deeply symbolic.
Okay.
A garment like that likely signified high status, maybe even designated Joseph as Jacob's chosen heir.
Wow.
It's like a king bestowing a crown on his favorite prince.
So you can imagine how this went over with Joseph's brothers.
Oh, yeah.
It's like waving a red flag in front of a bull.
Yeah.
They were already dealing with the usual sibling rivalry.
Of course.
And now their father is practically broadcasting his preference.
Right.
It's a recipe for tension.
Absolutely. And to add fuel to the fire, Joseph, maybe a little naive at this point, starts reporting his brother's misbehavior to their father.
Oh, really?
Not exactly winning any popularity contests, is he?
He's definitely not making things any easier on himself.
No.
It's interesting, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's young, clearly a bit sheltered, but he seems to have this strong sense of right and wrong, even if it's making him unpopular.
It's a fascinating element of his character, this sense of moral clarity, even if it's a bit rigid.
Yeah.
But things take a dramatic turn when Joseph starts having these incredibly vivid dreams.
And these aren't your typical, I ate too much cheese before bed kind of dreams.
No.
In the first one, he's binding sheaves of grain with his brothers, and his sheaf stands tall while theirs bow down to him.
Wow.
Then he has another dream where the sun, the moon, and 11 stars are bowing down to him.
Oh my goodness.
It's hard to miss the symbolism there.
Right, and this is where understanding the ancient world is crucial.
Okay.
In those cultures, dreams weren't just random firings of the subconscious.
Right.
They were often seen as messages from the divine, glimpses into the future, maybe even prophecies.
So for Joseph, these dreams might have felt like confirmation of his special status.
Yeah.
A sign that he was destined for greatness. But for his brothers, already simmering with resentment.
Yeah.
It's like a slap in the face.
Exactly. Imagine you're in their shoes, you're out there working hard tending flocks, while your younger brother, who seems to get everything handed to him, is having these dreams that basically announce his future dominion over you.
So how does their father, Jacob, react to these dreams?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The text tells us that Jacob rebukes Joseph for telling these dreams, but then it says he kept the matter in mind.
Interesting.
It's like he recognizes the potential danger of these dreams, the effect they're having on his sons, but he's also not dismissing them entirely.
So he's caught in the middle.
He is.
He clearly favors Joseph.
Yeah.
But he must be aware of the turmoil it's causing within his family.
Right.
And you have to wonder, does he secretly believe the dreams might actually hold some truth?
That's the question that hangs over this part of the story.
Yeah.
What did Jacob really believe, and how much did his favoritism towards Joseph blind him to the growing danger within his own household?
Right.
It's a fascinating psychological layer to the narrative.
What we do know is that for the brothers, the damage is done. They're officially harboring some serious resentment towards Joseph.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a powder keg waiting to explode.
And explode it does. The brothers are so consumed by their jealousy and anger that they decide to take drastic measures.
So the brothers are out tending flocks, their father's flocks, and Joseph, sent by Jacob to check on them, stumbles right into their territory.
Yeah.
And it's like they've been waiting for this moment.
The text says they see him coming from afar, and they immediately start plotting.
Wow.
They call him that dreamer. And, it's not meant affectionately.
Right.
They're consumed by this burning rage fueled by jealousy and those prophetic dreams.
It's chilling, isn't it?
It is.
It reveals a dark side to human nature.
Yeah.
How easily envy and resentment can twist into something truly dangerous.
It's a stark reminder that even in families where love and loyalty should prevail, darker impulses can take root.
Right?
And in this case, those impulses lead to a plan to kill Joseph.
It's a shocking turn of events. And you have to wonder, did they truly grasp the gravity of what they were about to do?
Yeah.
To take the life of their own brother?
It's hard to say. Perhaps they were so caught up in their rage, so blinded by their desire to eliminate the threat that Joseph represented, that they couldn't fully process the consequences of their actions. But thankfully, there's a twist.
Reuben, the eldest brother, steps in.
Right.
He convinces them not to kill Joseph outright,
Okay.
but instead they throw him into a pit.
And it's not just any pit. The text specifically mentions it's a dry pit, empty, no water.
Oh, wow.
It underscores the danger Joseph is in. They're essentially leaving him to die of exposure or starvation.
It's a cruel act.
It is.
But it does suggest a flicker of conscience, at least on Reuben's part.
Yeah.
He's trying to find a middle ground, a way to appease his brother's anger without resorting to outright murder.
It's a complex situation. Is it mercy or simply a delayed sentence?
Right.
We see this internal struggle play out again when another brother, Judah, steps forward.
This is where things get even more complicated, right?
Yes, because Judah suggests they sell Joseph to a passing caravan of Ishmaelites instead of leaving him to die in the pit.
Exactly, and this detail is significant for several reasons.
Yeah.
First, it tells us something about Judah's character. He's shrewd, pragmatic, maybe even a little opportunistic. He sees a way to profit from this terrible situation. But it also raises questions about the nature of their betrayal.
It does.
Because now it's not just about getting rid of Joseph.
Right.
It's about profiting from his misfortune. They're literally selling their brother for 20 shekels of silver.
It adds another layer to their treachery.
Wow.
And it also reveals something about the world they lived in.
Okay.
Slavery was a brutal reality in the ancient world, and being sold to Ishmaelites meant a perilous journey into the unknown.
What can you tell us about the Ishmaelites? What kind of fate awaited Joseph in their hands?
The Ishmaelites were known as traders, traveling long distances across the ancient Near East. They dealt in goods, spices, and sadly also in humans. Selling Joseph to them meant he was entering a world of uncertainty, a world where his future could range from hard labor to something far worse.
It's a bleak picture, stripped of his family, his home, his freedom. Joseph's journey takes a dark turn.
And while Joseph is facing this unknown feat, his brothers are back home concocting a plan to cover their tracks. They can't exactly tell their father they sold their brother into slavery.
So they take Joseph's tunic, that beautiful symbolic garment their father gave him, and they dip it in goat's blood. It's a truly horrific act designed to manipulate their father's deepest fears.
It speaks to the depth of their deceit.
Wow.
They're willing to exploit their father's love for Joseph to twist his affection into unbearable grief, and the text really drives this home, describing Jacob's reaction when he sees the bloodstained tunic.
He's absolutely devastated. He refuses to be comforted, mourning Joseph as if he's dead.
Right.
The brothers have achieved their goal, but at what cost?
They've created a rift in their family, a wound that will take years to heal, and it makes you wonder what was going through their minds.
Yeah.
Did they feel any remorse, or were they so consumed by self-preservation that they had shut off any feelings of guilt?
It's a question that lingers as we move forward in the story. They've successfully eliminated the immediate threat, but the consequences of their actions are far-reaching, impacting not just Joseph, but their entire family. So here we are at the end of this section of the story, with a family torn apart by jealousy, deceit, and the ripple effects of unchecked favoritism.
What's striking is that although it happened thousands of years ago, it feels incredibly relevant even today.
It really does.
Yeah.
This isn't just an ancient tale.
Yep.
It's a story about human nature, about the choices we make and the consequences that follow, about the destructive power of envy and the enduring strength of hope.
The dynamics between Joseph and his brothers, the rivalry, the simmering resentment, the way their emotions escalate into such a drastic act.
Yeah.
These are patterns that play out in families, workplaces, even in online interactions today.
It's like the story is holding up a mirror to our own lives, challenging us to examine our own relationships, our own reactions to those around us.
Exactly. It asks us to consider, are we harboring secret jealousies? Are we allowing resentment to fester within us?
Yeah.
Are we perhaps unknowingly playing favorites and creating imbalances in our own circles?
These are tough questions.
They are.
but important ones to consider.
And there's another layer to this story that I find particularly compelling.
Okay.
Despite the terrible things that happened to him, Joseph eventually rises to a position of great power in Egypt.
Right.
He goes from being a slave, stripped of everything, to becoming one of the most influential figures in the land.
It's an incredible turn of events. It makes you wonder if there's a connection between his early trials and his later success. Did those experiences forge in him a resilience, a determination that ultimately shaped his path?
It's a question worth pondering. Did those hardships, those betrayals, become the crucible in which his character was forged? Did they, in a strange way, contribute to his rise? The story doesn't explicitly say, but it does invite us to consider the relationship between adversity and growth.
So even in this tale of betrayal and loss,
Yeah,
there's a glimmer of hope,
there is.
a suggestion that even for the darkest moments, strength and resilience can emerge.
It's a powerful message. It reminds us that even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, the human spirit has an incredible capacity for adaptation, for growth, for finding a way forward.
Right.
It's a message that resonates across time and cultures.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the story of Joseph and his brothers, what's the one takeaway you would want our listener to hold on to?
I think the most important thing is to remember the power of choice. Each character in this story makes choices, some driven by love, some by fear,
Right.
some by anger or a desperate need to protect themselves. And those choices have consequences that ripple outward, affecting not only themselves but those around them. It reminds us that our actions matter, that even choices made thousands of years ago can still offer valuable lessons for us today.
Well said. And for our listener, as you continue your own exploration of the book of Genesis, here's a final thought to consider. Despite the profound betrayal he experienced, Joseph eventually forgives his brothers.
Wow.
How does forgiveness play a role in this story? Is it a sign of weakness or of incredible strength? And how might we apply the principle of forgiveness in our own lives, especially when dealing with difficult relationships and past hurts?
It's a powerful theme that runs through the entire narrative, and it's something worth reflecting on as you continue to delve into this timeless tale. Thanks for joining us.